Wolfen is a curious genre-bending horror movie from the early 80s. So the premise of this horror/police procedural thriller sees a big evil developer, his wife and their bodyguard offed in gruesome fashion by some kind of creature in Battery Park in New York, well beyond the witching hour. So a detective played by Albert Finney is on the case, along with coroner played by Gregory Hines, of all people, and an eccentric zoologist played by the great Tom Noonan. Now, you might think the culprit is someone along the lines of Luigi Mangione, being a movie about evil developers and gentrification and exploitation of poor people, but the trail leads our fearless detective into the desolate ruins of the South Bronx, arguably one of the best real locations in the history of film. I mean, the rubble of the South Bronx was pretty amazing in 1990, The Bronx Warriors, and it's an equally amazing location here for Wolfen. So the epicentre for all this high strangeness is a burnout church, which is smack dab in the middle of all the desolate blocks in the South Bronx, full of collapsing buildings and rubble, just like they were in 1990, The Bronx Warriors. And apparently some shape-shifting wolf creatures, who are of course connected to the local Native American law, have taken exception to developers gentrifying their territory, as you do. And they're not going to basically establish their territory by spraying all over everything like cats or dogs do. They're going to take out the developers wherever and whenever they can. So Wolfen does a great job of weaving a police procedural crime story in with a fairly fully realised, albeit fictional, dose of folklore to come up with one of the most atmospheric experiences in cinema of the 1980s. The Big Apple, or to be more precise, the seedier, more derelict side, is the star of the movie, of course. And there's a lot of social commentary about the pushback against gentrification, which we'll see more and more of. Though admittedly connecting the title Wolfen so strongly to what's basically a bit of a ghetto, I guess, is a little confusing, and it is a bit of a tenuous connection at times, but it's still fun and it is what it is. And it's always good to see Gregory Hines in a movie. I've always wondered why he didn't have a lot more starring roles. He seemed to have sort of dropped off the face of the earth. Really, it was only this and Running Scared and White Nights, and then he sort of vanished. I guess maybe he pissed someone off in Hollywood. And the soundtrack to Wolfen is by James Horner, who scored Aliens, and that might explain that why the score sounds almost exactly like Aliens in Wolfen most of the time. And Wolfen really is one of those cool police procedural / horror movies that they just don't make enough of nowadays, and that's a shame. The last thing to really follow that formula, that cool little formula of police procedural / horror films, really was The X-Files, which did a great job in the 90s. And I reckon it's high time that the police procedural / horror movie or / science fiction made a bit of a comeback. Wolfen would make I reckon Wolfen would make a great double feature with Larry Cohen's Cue the Winged Serpent, so a similar sort of police procedural monster movie. The two of those would pair quite nicely together on a Saturday night on the couch. I could think of worse ways to spend a Saturday night on the couch than with Wolfen and Cue the Winged Serpent. So that, my friends, is Wolfen. It's one of the more curious movies of the early 80s. They simply don't make movies like this anymore. Things that think quite outside the box. A lot of the time Wolfen's a bit of a mess, but it is going for high concept, high ideas. It's based on a novel by Whitley Strieber, who wrote Communion. So Whitley Strieber was allegedly abducted by aliens, so that may explain why he has quite a different outlook on things and why his movies are so unique, or the books that he writes that are adapted as movies, I should say, are so unique. So definitely a cool little movie. As I said, the ruins of the South Bronx make some great locations for Wolfen, as they did in Enzo Castellari's 1990 The Bronx Warriors. As Tom Savini always says, Tom Savini, the great special effects artist, when it comes to movie making, it doesn't get any better than the real thing. So if you can take a $1 billion set, or if you can give me the ruins of the Bronx in the early 80s, I'll take the ruins of the Bronx any day of the week and write a movie around it, which is exactly what a lot of these guys did. So yeah, that is Wolfen, starring, most notably starring Gregory Hines and Tom Noonan. Very cool little movie. If you haven't checked it out, go into it with an open mind. Don't look at too many reviews. I tried to not add too many spoilers, just to keep things surprising, but it is oozing with atmosphere. It is one of those great New York movies where the New York City skyline is one of the most important aspects. I really love the Native American element and all the social commentary there about people being displaced, because in terms of gentrification, I don't think it matters if you're black, white, brown, yellow, red, purple, pink with polka dots. If you're living in a particular area and developers decide that they're going to gentrify it, then you're instantly the enemy in their eyes, and they want to replace you with someone with more net worth, basically, someone who'll increase the overall value of the area. So gentrification is something that affects us all in a negative manner, unless you do happen to be fortunate enough to move into one of these gentrified areas. So I love the social commentary of this movie, especially the Native American folklore part of it, and the social commentary about being displaced from one's land and gentrification and so on and so forth. The interesting thing about gentrification, of course, is basically it negatively affects you if you're already living in the part of the world that's being gentrified, unfortunately, because these developers really do try and replace whoever the original people are in these areas, whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, red, purple, pink polka dots, whoever you are. Basically, if you're living in these traditional neighbourhoods that are being gentrified, then generally, without a doubt, you're usually the focus of being squeezed out of your own neighbourhood by these gentrification processes, unfortunately. So there's a good bit of social commentary for all of us in this one, in Wolfen. And yeah, so that's Wolfen from the early 80s. Really atmospheric little Shapeshifter type movie, New York crime procedural movie. Well worth seeking out. And as I said, a good way to spend a Saturday night if you do a bit of a double bill with Larry Cohen's Cue the Winged Serpent. So that's all for today. Hope you've enjoyed this review. Hope you're enjoying the content on the channel. And if you are enjoying the content, by all means, please like, share and subscribe. And if you have any thoughts on Wolfen, more than welcome to pop those below in the comments. It's always good to get a bit of feedback. And otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you next time.